Welcome to today's video. To start things off, we're going to start with a color palette. Here I have purple red or violet. I do want to mix that violet with just a little bit of cobalt blue to get a darker shade. I am going to use some scarlet. You can just use red if that's what you have. Also, you don't have to follow every color I have. Choose to work with whatever you want to work with. Whatever makes you happy is most important. I'm going to go in with some vermilion. If you don't have vermilion, you can just take a little red and mix it with a little bright orange, and you should be okay. And here is Chinese white. You can also use titanium white. Any white that you have will do. I'm just going to mix until I get that dark violet color that I was kind of hoping for. Now I'm just going to mix a little bit of that scarlet with some of the purple red. And I'm going to continue to just mix a little of the previous color with some of the next color to kind of get a shade of different reds that I can work with. So like a little bit of different red, violet, and orange that I can work with. And lastly, I'm just going to mix in a little bit of white. I did add some cobalt blue for my background color, and I mixed in a little white with some cobalt blue to get a lighter blue for my foreground color. So I use a little bit of mineral spirits, and I'm just going to mix it with some of that really dark violet and cobalt blue mix to get a shade to block in my color. When I block in my color, I'm just making a sketch that I'm going to use as a guideline for how I want to do my painting. When you think about the outline of an apple, the top of the apple is very round and much wider. As you get in towards the side, it starts to narrow out, and then you get to the bottom, which becomes the most slender part of the apple. So I'm keeping that in mind. My apple isn't perfect. I am eyeballing everything. For the cast shadow, I think of something like an elongated oval or an irregular ellipse. And I just make a little reflections on the apple, which will signal the core shadow. We'll start with the darkest color on our palette. And we'll just kind of go in around that core shadow, a little bit around the occlusion shadow, which is all the way at the bottom of the apple. And then just a little bit on the right plane going towards the side of the apple. I'm gonna go in that red, and I'm gonna go for a tone that symbolizes or that looks a little less saturated and more light. On the top of the apple and around the rim of the apple, I'm just gonna put this tone. Also at the, like, a little bit underneath the core shadow. So just using my eyeball and my understanding of an apple when hit by direct light, I'm going to play around with the tones that I put on that apple. So get comfy, get free, and play around with your apple. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just work around, try your best, and what you come out with is enough. It is beautiful. It is worth it. You are working so hard, and I applaud you for joining along in this series and giving yourself support and trying something. You're awesome. I'm going in here and I'm putting in my halftones, which are the sides of the apple that are hit by the most direct light, and they would also include the lighter shades on your color palette. I'm going to go in and fill in the foreground of the apple. Now, I know my apple looks a little crazy, but again, it's a beginner series, so we're just getting comfortable. After adding the foreground, I'm going to go in and I am going to add the background color. Adding the foreground and the background is a really great way to check if your illusion of the form or the object that you're making is coming to light. Adding a color can often add contrast, or it can really give you a sense of view, because often when colors are put next to each other, they give you a different feeling or a sense of understanding. So it's really important that you add some color in the background and foreground of your painting so that you can have a better sense of how your object is coming together, and also a better understanding of the relationship between light and form and the different shades of a color that you might want to use in the different parts of your object. So the final group I'm going to focus on is the cast shadow. I used a little bit of that darker color and I just mixed it with a little blue, just till I felt like I got a shade that I was kind of okay with. I did decide to go in with some blending. This one's completely optional. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can go ahead and get a fan brush, and that should help you out. And here are our final results. I hope that you enjoying this helped.